Good afternoon, everybody. We're just waiting for the last few people to come in. But while that's happening, excuse me, I have a couple of housekeeping issues to inform you of. The first is that in the unlikely event of an emergency, there will be an alarm that goes off. When the alarm goes off, don't panic. Try not to panic. Exit the building quietly and in an orderly fashion. And the gathering point for emergencies is on the oval behind the building. So you can find your way to the oval, and that way we can make sure everybody is safe. The second housekeeping thing is to say, this is camera, as you can see. However, we are filming only the talk itself. We are not filming the Q&A. And that's for very good reason. We don't want people to feel uneasy about asking whatever you want to ask. And we also don't want Fangyu to be put on the spot, giving an answer that, given more thought, he may not have given had he been filmed. But so don't worry about the camera, that's what it's for. So those points out of the way, as is the practice here at the ANU, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the unceded land of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri peoples, and pay respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging. I'd also like, in this instance in particular, to welcome any First Nation peoples from Australia and indeed overseas. And I am aware that during this update, we have had, in fact, one of our speakers is a First Nations person from Taiwan. So it's in particular, particularly important, I think, in that context, to acknowledge First Nation peoples. So welcome to this second session of the 2024 ANU Taiwan Update. We had an exceptional evening last evening with a keynote address by Dr. Wasik Silan. Today we have three fascinating presentations. You're very welcome to stay for all of them. And indeed, after the presentations in the evening, we have a superb prize-winning documentary that we're screening in the Research School of Social Sciences auditorium on campus. There's more details in all of the information we have here. The ANU Taiwan Update forms a very important part of the ANU Taiwan Studies Program. And the ANU Taiwan Studies Program is generously funded by the Ministry of Education in Taipei. And to them, I pass on our thanks and acknowledgement. So our first speaker today, I'm very, very pleased to introduce, is Dr. Chen Fangyu. Fangyu comes to us from the confusingly named Suzhou University in Taipei. In Chinese, of course, it's not the Suzhou Daxue. In Taipei, it's the Dongwu Daxue in Chinese, but that's fine. We'll get over that confusion. Fangyu is a political scientist and was educated at Zhengzhi University in Taipei and at Taida, National Taiwan University, and took his PhD from Michigan State University in the States. Apart from being an extraordinary young scholar of politics and international relations and so forth, there are two things I'd like to point out. Fangyu is also a member of this team and project, US Taiwan Watch, which is extremely important and very interesting if you want to have a look at that. And also a Chinese language blog based on the US blog thing. Taiwan. Well, no, the monkey cage, I'm thinking of. Yeah.
We want to be.
They want to be like the monkey cage for Taiwan, and it's called Who Governs TW, or Who Governs Taiwan in Chinese language. Fangyu was also, until you will appreciate it became impossible, a columnist for Apple Daily. Of course, nobody is a columnist for Apple Daily anymore. So, with no further ado, I would like to invite Fang-Yu to come here and give us his address on the current state of Taiwanese politics and where it's going after the elections in January and the inauguration of the new president in May. Fang-Yu, over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thanks for the introduction. It's my honor to be here, and I'm very happy that I have the opportunity to share with you about some of my observations about Taiwanese politics. So today I'm going to talk about Taiwan's party politics and some of the implications, especially on the foreign policies and Taiwan's future relationship in the Indo-Pacific. So I'm from Suzhou University, Dongwu Daxue. So Dongwu Daxue is the original name in the year of 1900, established in China, mainland China. So we now have the school in Taipei, and in China there's another Suzhou Daxue, so it's not the same, but we share the same name, okay, and the same logo, okay. Yeah, the same logo. So this is a result of Taiwan's presidential election this January. So the ruling party, DPP, got 40%, and it's a third term for the ruling party, DPP. It is also the first time that the party can win the third term. It is very rare. I mean, in the presidentialism, we are a semi-presidentialism country, that the party win the third term. So, for example, in the U.S., after the World War II, only once that the party wins the third. That is the older George Bush. So, so this time is the first time after democratization, party wins the third term. So the second is the Kuomintang, KMT. This is a Hou You-yi. Hou You-yi is a very interesting politician because 20 years ago, he was promoted by Chen Shui-bian in the first DPP administration. So some of the KMT supporters see Hou You-yi as like a traitor or something, but he was now the nominee of the KMT. He is now the Xinbei city mayor. Here comes the third party, Ke Wen-je. He's a very interesting guy, but we may not have the time to elaborate on how he's rising because, well, I can give you another 3-hour lecture on the populist politician. It's not a unique case in Taiwan because we see populist politicians everywhere in the world. So basically, people I mean, Ke Wen-je and other populist party are utilizing people's dissatisfaction about all of the system, and especially for younger generations, the younger generation don't see hope because of the skyrocketing housing price and the stagnated wages, and these issues are very similar everywhere in the world. So we see a rise of the third party populist politicians. So Ke Wen-je is this guy. So he wins almost 3 million, more than 3.5 million votes. So it is a lot. So one of my topics assigned by the institute here is to introduce the new president and the vice president. So I'll give you a very short intro on the new president of Taiwan. So President Lai Ching-te on the left. I mean, this is the vice president Hsiao Bi-khim, and Lai Ching-te is a dog person, and Hsiao Bi-khim is a cat woman. So they make this as their main campaign logo. So you will see in the campaigns in Taiwan were always like a cute one, or to make adorable figures, to make trying to be closer to people. It is very different. I mean, the political culture is a little bit different from in Taiwan because well, it can be dated back to the Chen Shui-bian's era. Chen Shui-bian is one of the first to introduce these kind of political campaigns, like in cute way. So there's a lot of literature on this. I will just skip that. So Lai Ching-te is a the dog person. Hsiao Bi-khim is a cat person. And I would like to give more space here for Hsiao Bi-khim because she was one of the most influential ambassador in Washington D.C. before. She was the Taiwan's ambassador to the U.S. However, this is New York Times, one of the most influential media in the U.S. However, New York Times says that she is not an ambassador. Why? Because we don't have diplomatic ties with the US. So she can only be called as a representative. She cannot be officially called an ambassador. However, she is still one of the most influential ones in the Washington, D.C. area. So you can see that during the campaign season, it is very interesting that you see a lot of media reports on Hsiao Bi-khim instead of Lai Ching-te. Okay. So, for example, this one from The Economist, and Hsiao Bi-khim, she herself called herself as a cat warrior, and because she loves cats, she has 4 cats. She brings it to the U.S. and on the social media, a lot of cat photos, and she claimed herself as a cat warrior. In comparison with China's wolf warrior diplomacy, and cat is a cute animal, and everybody loves cat, and just unlike the wolf warrior, so she wants to become a cat, and everyone loves that. So, and I think she does a very good job because every international media just recognize her achievement in Washington D.C. area. I like the Mandarin title of this article. That is, it's a 战猫. So she called herself as 战猫, as a cat warrior. So this is from the New York Times. So we see a lot of reports or interviews from the international media for Hsiao Bi-khim, because she was trained in the U.S. Studying in Columbia as an IR specialist, and then she just joined the politics long time ago. So she became a legislator for DPP, and also she is one of the most liberal politicians in Taiwan. She was one of the first to propose for same-sex marriage bill back in 2 decades ago. So and then she stayed in the Hualien area, eastern Taiwan, for a decade, and became a legislator there. So she's also very familiar with the Aboriginal issues there. So for sorry to give very short introduction to Lai Ching-te as a president. He is a medical doctor, and he's the first. I mean, after democratization, he's the first who is not trained as a lawyer. I mean, so we have Chen Shui-bian, Ma Ying-jeou, and Tsai Ing-wen, who is trained in the law school. But now we have a different kind of president. So Taiwan's party politics. Unlike in many other countries where the main cleavage or main debate is on the left, right, or we can say the liberal conservative debate, in Taiwan, there's no such debate. We always debate on the China factor, always. The China factor is always the most important cleavage in Taiwan. And talking to China factor, I mean it. So for example, the policy is always about whether we should have a closer relationship with China, whether we should open to Chinese trade, tourist, education, and everything. Everything is on China. Okay, so because we are, well, geographically, we are too close to China. And it is also the debate on the Chinese versus Taiwanese identity and other related issues. So China factor is the most important way. So here in the map of the parties in Taiwan, there are the pan-green side and the pan-blue side. So the pan-green side is now the leading by the major party, the ruling party, DPP, the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP. So the President Tsai Ing-wen took power in 2016. Now it's a 3rd term. On the blue side is led by a very traditional party, the KMT. The official name is Chinese Nationalist Party. Well, yeah, but always in the literature you will call it as a 国民党, so KMT. So it's a translation. So in the cleavage between these parties are, I mean, the pan-blue and pan-green is always on the Taiwanese identity. So for the KMT supporters, they are more likely to be, there are the Chinese identity, or we could say the dual identity. So in the KMT side, there are more and more people there thinks that they are both Taiwanese and Chinese. But in the green side. So people tend to think themselves or identify themselves as only Taiwanese. So that is the most different factor to differentiate the green and blue. Also, I find it very misleading to label these two sides as pro-independence or pro-unification, because most of people in Taiwan do not support unification right now. So if you see the polls, you will see that 80–90% of people support either status quo or, well, not to change anything. That is, so why is still there in English literature, there's still so many people say pro-independence or pro-unification. Sometimes think this is maybe misleading, but well, still you can see that the pan-blue side people tend to think that maybe we can be unified someday in the future, okay? They do not rule out the possibility of being unified. And there are two types of unification. One is like the authentic KMT, they used to be anti-communist. Several decades ago, they think that the Taiwan or the ROC, Republic of China, should take over the mainland again. That is Fangyu. But there's no such plan anymore. So now in KMT side, there are more and more people think that we should be unified with China as soon as possible. We call it as red unification, 红统. So according to my own research, there are about overall population, there are about 6–7% of people are red unification, which is that they do not oppose to be unified by CCP. Okay, I think that is dangerous for KMT because authentically they are anti-communist now. But now more and more people in the KMT side, they are not opposing to unify by CCP. It's a dangerous sign for not only KMT but also for over Taiwan. So there is no left and right debate in Taiwan. Well, some of them, but not along the political division, parties division. So for the liberal and conservative side, you will see a lot of, if you are a liberal politician or liberal scholar, you cannot, you rarely identify yourself with KMT because KMT is a very traditional, hierarchical, with authoritarian legacy party. So, but in the green side, more and more, because the DPP party is a party who fought for democratization. So during this long process of democratization, most of the civil groups aligned with DPP in the past. So if you are liberal, you can, you rarely support the blue side. But not every politician in the green side are liberal. So, well, there's a logical there. So Taiwan independence. Well, you will see a lot of reports, journals, or media says that, well, the DPP is pro-independence. However, according to my own calculation, I think there are at least two different types of independence. So one is that Taiwan is already an independent sovereign country with official name of ROC. ROC is Republic of China, our official name right now. So the ruling DPP officially adopted this statement in their resolution in 1999. It is called 国家前途决议文. Okay, so in their party preamble. Okay, and that clause is always called as a Taiwan independence clause, which is very misleading because it is not. What's wrong with think ourselves as a sovereignty country? Okay, so this is one type of independence. Another type, which I call as a deep green, 深绿. Okay, so 深绿 people think that the Republic of China government is an illegal regime. It's an illegal regime since 1945. So after the World War II, when the ROC led by Chiang Kai-shek took Taiwan temporarily, but they become permanently, so it's an illegal one on Taiwan. So there are at least two types of independence in Taiwan. So the DPP now is a mainstream. Their mainstream statement is the first one. So this is how President Lai Ching-te called himself as a practical activist for Taiwan independence. And So let me translate this. So Taiwan is already, so this one, is there, no. So Taiwan is already an independent country. We don't have to declare independent anymore. So basically, it's called practical activity for Taiwan independence. Actually, it's nothing special because DPP adopted this statement since 1999, as I mentioned. So, however, you will see a lot of policy discussion, especially from the US, blame Lai Ching-te as a Taiwan independence promotion or something like that. They are so afraid of Lai Ching-te doing something bad, doing something because, for example, declare independence of something. But he has said millions of times that Taiwan do not have to declare independence anymore. I don't know why the American policy makers still so afraid of Lai Ching-te. Well, I cannot.
Things need to come out.
Yeah. Okay. So, for example, in foreign policies, this is a recent piece by Bonnie Glasser and other scholars. In this piece, they argue that the best way to deter China's aggression is that the Americans and the Taiwan should provide more reassurance to China. That is to declare that we will not declare independence anymore or permanently or something like that. But just as I said, President Lai Ching-te has said millions of times that there's no need, okay, to say or to declare independence anymore. So it is also a mainstream statement of the ruling DPP. So I still think it's very misleading to say pro-independence or something like that. So very quickly, I go through this the situation that Taiwan is facing right now. So in terms of assurance or deterrence of China, that we should understand one important thing, maybe the takeaway yeah, is there's nothing we can do to remove or alleviate China's aggression on Taiwan. There's no way. Why? Because you see this map. So see, Taiwan is in the middle of the so-called first island chain, which is an imaginary line linking from Japan or the Korean Peninsula, Japan to Taiwan to Philippines and to Southeast Asia countries. So in the middle is Taiwan. And these two arrows, the upper one is called Miyako Strait. The second one is called Bashi Channel, Bashi Strait. Okay, these two are the main gateway for Chinese Navy to get into the Pacific. Okay, so if China wants to challenge the American hegemony, you have to occupy Taiwan. Okay, you have to. And also for this map is the depth of the sea. Okay, you can see that there's a deep water port in eastern coast of Taiwan. That is Suao. So Suao is here. Suao is here. So in Yilan. So there's no deep water port in coastal China. And what is a deep water port is so important because if you have the submarine, then if you go from Suao, then the Americans cannot detect the submarine. Okay, so if you go from the current naval bases of China, then the American satellites can see everything of your submarine. Okay, so there's no way that if China wants to pursue the so-called hegemony in the region or even the world or just challenge the US, there's no way that China give up this strategic position of Taiwan. So there's no way to tell China something that they can give up to unify Taiwan. No way. Okay. So, well, this is what we call a natural lottery. It is a natural position of Taiwan. Okay. So no way to immediate that. So the China's aggression. Why? So if you want to explain why China wants to control Taiwan, you can explain by the nationalism, by their so-called sacred mission, and a lot of factors. But the most important factor is this, the geopolitical ones. Okay, so there's no way that we can reassure China something because the ambition will always be there. Okay? However, for Taiwan, Taiwanese party politics do not see like this. different partisan factors always, driven people's views on China. So for example, KMT, we can say that the pro-China party, the main opposition party right now, they do not think China is a threat. Okay, they think that we can cooperate with China. China is our trading partner, and we have been tied there's a ties since very long ago. And most of people think that because of our cultural and historical ties with China, so we should not see China as a threat. So this is KMT. And after the two consecutive the electoral defeat in a presidential election in 2005, the KMT started to cooperate with CCP. So it's overturned its long-term anti-communist stance after 2005. So it's also so China find it very useful to cooperate with KMT politicians because China can give them some beneficial policies and to bring more people to visit China and to get some reward, especially in the elections. China can reward them with a lot of resources for mobilization. So it's KMT. So during Ma Ying-jeou administration from 2008 to 2016, Ma Ying-jeou is a highly pro-China politician, and he promoted a lot of China-friendly policies. And in the year 2014, there was a Sunflower movement organized by student groups to fight against a trade deal with China. Okay, so that successfully just blocked the trade deal, the service trade deal with China, and let us think of a scenario that there's no Sunflower movement. Then we don't have to talk about Taiwan anymore at this moment. Why? Because, well, that time, if there's no Sunflower movement, then China can invest in almost every industry in Taiwan, including the semiconductor industry. Okay, so after the China and the U.S. competition in the trade competition in 2018, well, Taiwan will be in the Team China instead of Team USA. And we don't have to talk about the Indo-Pacific or Indo-Pacific strategy anymore because Taiwan is in the team of China at that time. So the Sunflower movement is a turning point for Taiwan's party politics. And that time, it totally destroyed KMT's hope for re-election in 2016. Also, it is a rise of the third party, especially Ko-wen-je. So Ko-wen-je rises at that time under the help of DPP to become an independent candidate at that time. And Ko-wen-je, I think, just like many populist politicians, he emphasized that, okay, so the 16 politicians are all corrupted, and we should have a new one. And as an independent, he can do whatever reforms he likes. So at least he can. So, well, right now we see a lot of corruption scandals on him, but well, not that time. So he's the image is very fresh. So he just gathered a lot of support from that time. So here, and he swear not to form a party, swear not to run for president, but he just changed the mind and formed a party called Taiwan Minzhongdang. Actually, Taiwan Minzhongdang the name is the first Taiwanese party back to the Japanese colonial era. So that is the first party established by Jiang Wei-shun, Mr. Jiang Wei-shun. So it's a highly symbolic name. So I always avoid to call him as Taiwan Minzhongdang. I always call him Ko-wen-je-dang. So the party of Ko-wen-je because he stole the name from our democracy activists long time ago. So here's the result of the 2024 legislative yuan elections. By the way, we have the general elections as the legislative yuan, that is the legislature, and the presidential election at the same time. Okay, so although the DPP won the third term, but they lost the majority in the legislature. So we have So the election is this. So the system is that we have 113 candidates, seats. We have 113 seats for the legislature. 73 of them is from district. It's about a single member district. So only one person can be chosen. And six seats for the Aboriginal people, and 34 for the PR system. So the party list. So totally combined, we see there's a decrease of 10 seats for DPP, increase of 14 seats in KMT, and 3 more seats in the legislature, the Kuomintang. So Kuomintang, all of the seats for the small parties always from the party list. I mean the PR system. So you can see that the total votes in the district. So DPP and the KMT both have the decrease on their total votes. However, there are 10 seats decrease for DPP, but 14 seats gain for KMT because of the special character of the single member district. Just like British, you can see that in the British elections, the Labour Party gained only 1.6% at this time, but they gained 200 seats. Okay, that is the character of the single member district voting. So well, it's always the case. So if you just lose a little bit, then you can lose a lot in the district. So yeah, we purposely designed this. Okay, so that is a situation right now. So you can see that the Kuomintang and the KMT combined, the total votes is still less than DPP, but still they combined for a total of 60 seats, far enough to get the majority. Well, you will see this new Taiwan's president takes office facing angry China. Well, China is always angry, no matter who is in power. Okay, so if we have the elections, they are very angry. Why can't we have elections, right? So sometimes, well, I'm a little bit tired to see these kind of the titles from media because China is always angry. So just as I like a quote. So it's from the former National Security Advisor John Bolton in the U.S. He said that every day when Taiwan wakes up, it angers China. The very existence of Taiwan, the democracy will anger China, everything will anger China. So it is this is Lai Ching-te and Hsiao Bi-khim and the former President Tsai Ing-wen. So here in the legislature, we see that this is the man in the middle is Huang Guochang from the Taiwan Minzongdang Kuomintang. Now the party caucus in the legislature for Taiwan Minzongdang. He was previously one of the leaders from the Stanford movement, who is very anti-China, and he is also very anti-KMT. Okay, he blames KMT every day because, well, as a third-party candidate, he gains a lot of popularity, blaming all of the system, all of the existing politicians. So he is some people think that he is an icon of defeating the traditional corrupted politicians, including Han Kuo-yu. Okay, Han Kuo-yu is this guy. That's what. Now is a speaker. This is a vice speaker in the legislature from KMT, both from KMT. So previously, you can see on the social media of Huang Guochang still there. You will see a lot of posts to blame KMT, blame Han Kuo-yu, blame a lot of KMT politicians. And even in early this year, Huang Guochang blames KMT as 不要脸. Okay, blame, how to say 不要脸in shame, okay, shame, okay, shame on KMT early this year. But after the election, he quickly collaborated with KMT. Okay, so they form alliance in the legislature and they will do a lot of things there. So this is another one. Formerly the vice mayor of Taipei City of Ko-Wen-je. She is also very interesting because she was originally from Xindang, which is an extreme pro-unification party. And then she goes to Qingmingdang. And then in 2016, she collaborated with DPP to run for the legislature. Okay, you can see that her position is always changing. So I think Taiwan 民众党, so this party, I mean, 柯文哲 party is full of the opportunist. Is that correct pronunciation? Yeah, so a lot of people, well, they just change a lot of their positions to gain more political power. So you'll see a lot of memes there. Like this is Huang Guochang, who previously say Fu Kenqi as a very bad guy. So Fu Kenqi is a party caucus of KMT. He was named as the king of Hualien, Eastern Taiwan, because he ruled Hualien for a very long time. And after his ruling, now the Hualien's magistrate is his wife. Okay, so there is a kingdom there. And previously, Huang Guochang blamed Fu Kenqi as a financial fraud crime because he was sentenced to jail because of some financial fraud cases. But right now, they cooperate a lot. And more troublesome is that Fu Kenqi, who has a close connection with China. Okay, so in the past 2 decades, he was in Hualien and introduced a lot of Chinese companies to invest there. And he himself has a company who has $billions of investment plans collaborate with local government in China. Okay, so he has a plan, a lot of $billions investment in China, and then introduce a lot of Chinese companies to go to Hualien. So he is highly connected to China. And it is a new phenomenon in Taiwan, especially China finds it very useful to connect with the local politicians. Very useful because you can bypass a lot of regulations in the central government. You can buy a lot of influence in the local government. I think, well, it's worse. China does this in many places, including Australia. Okay? So this guy is Wang Huning. So Wang Huning is kind of the king's teacher for at least 3 leaders in China. So he's a king's teacher, okay? And he is very high ranking right now. He's now the leader of 全国政协. How to say 全国政协 is very long term, right? 全国政协. But I think the position is not important. But he's very, the main consultant for Chinese media. And during the session of legislature in April, okay, so Fu Kenqi led a group of 18 legislators of KMT to visit China. During a session in this April, and after that, there's a lot of China-related policies, or China-related bills in the legislature. So you can maybe this one is about Australia, the so-called silent invasion. So you can see China's buying influence in many places, especially in the local level. So we should pay attention to this. And this one is for Taiwan and Hong Kong. So we see a lot of research about how China connect with the local groups, local religious groups, the temples, and a lot of local communities to expand their influence, and also include a lot of espionage cases. Okay. So in the legislature, we see a lot of controversial acts, especially one that to expand the so-called investigation power of the legislature. So basically, we have a very special system that we have a control yuan. Most of the legislature will have the function of control, right? So to monitor the politician, but we have another control yuan. So we separate the investigation power from legislature to another institute, right? This is very special in our constitution. And KMT and the Kuomintang, they claim that they want to do some reform to expand the investigation power of the legislature. It turns out to be an overreach of the power. So for example, the legislature under their bill, they pass a bill that makes the legislature super institution. They can investigate any officials. They can put the officials in jail, and they can even have the executive power for the criminal charges for the officials, any officials they want. So it is a highly problematic bill. So under the name of reform, okay, nobody will oppose the reform. So if you do the public opinion for Taiwanese people, do you agree with the reform in the legislature? Then everybody will say yes. Why not? But it turns out their reform bill is full of problematic clauses. So, and also problematic is the process. So basically, KMT and the Kuomintang, because they hold the majority, they just refuse to do any discussion in the legislature. So they just prohibit some of the discussion from the DPP legislators, and also they just they do not want to do any public hearings for the bill, and you just pass it. So there's so you see that so that one is 没有讨论不是民主。Okay, that one there. So 没有讨论不是民主 become one of the main slogan for civil groups. So there's a mass protest in front of the legislature. So these are two articles I and my co-authors write for the diplomat. And interestingly is that the KMT responded to us. Okay, and the KMT responded to us by saying that, oh, because people do not understand Mandarin, so you will be misguided by this guy, so that because they are doing some reforms and do not be misguided by these guys. And we write another one to respond to KMT legislators. Okay, this is from the diplomat. So there is a mass protest in 2 weeks that the civil groups organized this. Part of the organizers are highly experienced from the previous Sunflower movement era. So because they know how to organize, so they organize this in a more efficient way. So Brian will talk about this later. So in the legislature, it's very interesting that a ruling DPP become a minority, so they do something like a minority, although they are ruling party. So they do this protest to occupy the stage there to protest against this bill. And outside of the legislature, we see that 我藐视国会 means that because KMT, the bill contains a clause to so-called 藐视国会罪, the contempt of legislature. If the officials say something that the legislators don't like, then the officials will be put in jail as a 藐视国会罪. Okay, so that clause is very problematic. So all of the chaos in the legislature lead to this. So this is a public opinion poll for President Lai Ching-te in his 100 days, the first 100 days. We see a very high approval rate, right? Almost 60%, very high approval rate. I think it is not because Lai Ching-te is doing something good. It is because the opposition is just way too much. I mean, brings way too much chaos in the legislature. They don't even want to have the normal discussion at all. Okay, so well, this is Lai Ching-te. So I think there's still much to do for the DPP government, especially in the third term. You have to do more. You have to persuade people that you deserve this time. Okay, you deserve the third term. But well, yeah, it's the first 100 days. There was some government reshuffle, and the agenda is now still setting. So well, we will see. We will wait and see. So what's next? So there are a lot of now we have the second session of the legislature right now. So we can expect to see more controversial bills in LY. And also this session is the budget session. So we will see a lot of boycotts on the budget, especially the defense budget. Okay, the defense budget. So we see a significant increase of Taiwan defense budget from Tsai Ing-wen's administration. It increased from 2% to 2.5% of GDP. So we now have the 2.5% of the defense budget is a significant increase. And compared to NATO countries, only 5 or 6 NATO countries spend more than Taiwan in terms of GDP. And well, the average of NATO countries is about 2. So we made a great progress, well, in response to China threat. However, KMT and the Kuomintang, they both oppose the defense budget. So we will see more on this. And also, I did some of the China-related bills that the opposition party want to propose. For example, they want to move all of the National Security Council from the control of presidential office to the executive yuan. Means that the legislature can have a full control of the National Security Council. That is one. And then they want to retreat from some of the oceans. They want to retreat our Coast Guard because they want to avoid any movement that can anger China. So that is some of the bills they are proposing now. And also they want to lower the threshold of Chinese national citizens naturalization years from 6 years to 4 years, I think, so that they can get our citizenship and vote. So these are some of the controversial bills there. Well, I think I have only 1 minute left, so let's do very quickly. So you will see like this foreign affairs piece by Hou You-li from KMT in the campaign era. And if you do not see the name, you will think that, okay, this is very similar to DPP, okay? Because it says that we will strengthen our defense, something like that. So everything is very similar to DPP. However, KMT's target, KMT is doing very different for the international audience and domestic audience. So you should remember this. You will see a lot in English that KMT says that, okay, we should defend for democracy, defend for defense, like this piece, but actually it's not. So for example, this is the latest one. So for a KMT legislator, a very young woman, and very young generations, they are very similar to the older generation. They all oppose the defense budget. It's just like the yesterday's news. Okay, they want to frozen all of the budget for the indigenous submarine. Okay, and this one is from Korean media that says that the KMT legislator Ma Wen-jun, who is now the chair of the defense committee in the legislature, she leaks a lot of classified documents to Korean government in order to stop the secret cooperation between Taiwan and Korea to make our indigenous submarine. So they do everything to stop to decrease our ability to strengthen the military capability. That is KMT. Okay, that is KMT. So another one is that for Ko Wen-je, he's now for a lot of scandals there. I don't have time to explain that, but it's very dramatic, very, very dramatic. A lot of it's scandals. A lot of scandals after scandals. Okay, so but he's not done yet. So he can claim that it's all political execution. He's still just like other politicians. So he can still win maybe 5 to 10%, which is still the key minority to still can. At least there's 3.5 years in the legislature. They have eight seats, but they still can manipulate a lot. So yeah, I will just stop here. Thank you very much.